Barriers to Social Skills, Part 3. Anger Management, Black and White Thinking, and Literal Interpretation of Language. While many parents and teachers report that children have anger issues, the root of the issue may be far more complex than simple anger. Anger is a secondary emotion and as such stems from other emotions. Could the difficulty be with impulse control or previously reinforced behaviour? How can you tell? Well, we have to look at what happened before and after the behaviour. The angry child may actually be scared, frustrated, anxious, confused, overwhelmed, experiencing sensory overload, sensory seeking, seeking predictability, or unable to communicate what they want or need. When trying to identify the root cause of a behaviour, it is vitally important that records are kept. You need to keep a record of the times of day and types of activity where anger is evident, the times of day and activities during which anger is not evident. We can use this information to find our anger triggers or consequences that maintain angry behaviour. Looking at the examples below, can you pinpoint a reason for angry outbursts in this individual? See if you can spot the trend in the incidents below. If you would like further information and guidance on understanding the function of behaviour, see our section on function of behaviours in the behaviour section. Anger and anxiety. In our previous section, we explored the complexities of anxiety. Our preconception of an anxious child can often look something like this, but not always like this. It is important to note that it is not always the quiet, shy, anxious-looking child that is experiencing anxiety. Often, the angry child is actually experiencing just as much and sometimes more anxiety than the quiet, removed child. Remember, when you hear hoofbeats, try and think zebras. It's not always horses. The angry child should not be punished for angry outbursts. It is vitally important that we understand the function of behaviour before implementing any consequences. If the child is actually in an anxious state, it is important that they experience our compassion and understanding before our anger and corrections. Black and white thinking. Individuals with black and white thinking, or all or nothing thinking, tend to see only two polar opposite outcomes for any situation without seeing any middle ground or context. Win or fail, success or failure, right or wrong, rules must always be followed. It is vitally important that we challenge black and white assumptions rationally. Is 18 out of 20 really a bad mark in your test? That's still 90%. I don't think you always lose. You won 3 games of chess yesterday. It is also extremely important to describe situations where you might need to apply some flexibility to rules. These include emergencies and contexts of home versus school, or home versus playground, or youth club. Context is vitally important when discussing behaviour, so be mindful to include it wherever possible. Individuals who have difficulty with black and white thinking can also have difficulty deciphering between fact and opinion, often treating their opinion as if they were fact. This can often cause issues when engaged socially with peers, as they can vehemently argue their opinion and reject the opinions of others as wrong or incorrect. Teaching the difference between fact and opinion, we use the rule that facts can be proven scientifically. Opinions cannot be proven scientifically, and therefore will always differ from person to person. It is extremely important to teach the individual how to deal with situations in which somebody will disagree with their opinion, as this can often provide a source of conflict and can result in friendships ending prematurely. Literal interpretation of language. Many individuals on the spectrum interpret what they hear in a literal way or take it at face value. Our everyday language is peppered with idioms, slang, sarcasm, and colloquial sayings which can cause confusion for literal thinkers. For example, sarcastic, yes, I will, actually means I won't. The Cork phrase, I'm allergic to, is not actually their immune system causing a physical reaction, but rather a mental aversion to a certain topic or item. Materials aimed at students who are learning English as a second language are often useful tools for helping children with autism understand the pragmatics of language. Idioms can present huge difficulties for those on the spectrum and should be explored wherever possible. Sayings such as, "It's raining cats and dogs," "Cat's got my tongue," and "Don't cry over spilt milk." There are now some excellent books available on the market exploring idioms in all their complexities, and these should be explored as early as possible for the individual on the spectrum to equip them with the tools needed to understand social language. We have now explored some of the barriers which can impede social advancement. It is important to note that your student may experience other barriers, and this list is not exhaustive, but does provide a comprehensive starting point. Looking back at our social skills training journey, it's important to engage in troubleshooting if you find that you're experiencing difficulty with progress. Have you explored the prerequisite skills for the skill you're trying to teach? Is your language appropriate and pitched at the level of the student? Have you engaged in practice in multiple settings? Have you explored context? Is the skill socially valid to the student? Will they get an opportunity to use it? Is your student motivated to learn and progress? Does your student have difficulties with anxiety? Could this be holding them back? Have you ascertained their level of self-esteem? And do they have the confidence to use the skills that you have taught them? Have you provided consistency of approach? This is extremely important, as your student will rely on you to provide consistency in your reinforcement of the skills and your supportive correction of their errors. Successful social skills training requires getting to know the child so that they, in turn, can get to know others. Thank you for your attention during these presentations. We hope that you found them useful and wish you every success with your social skills journey.